So with a drive to Bristol ahead of me, I woke up early, in the darkness of 5 in the morning. I got 2 and a bit hour drive and my tournament's at 9:30, which leaves me plenty of time to hit traffic, take a wrong turn and other forms of getting lost. Time for some in the car vlogging!
The sun is here. Sunrise, sunset, sunrise, sunset. Haven't seen it yet, but it is out there. The mist is clearing. Ooh, hello. Get some driving shots, shall we? Driving shot. Been 18 minutes. That was a big bug. Whoa. Probably heard on the audio. See you when the sun's up. Properly. Here comes the sun. Doo-doo-doo-doo. Here comes the sun. I say it's alright. Still misty though.
After confirming I was in the right place, I had plenty of time to sit in my car and wait. Upstairs at Bristol Independent Gaming, and here's a look at the tables. So game 1 was domination against Paul Moore's Rivendell. In the pillared halls of Kazadum. I'm not at the stage where I get my tripod out, even though I did still bring it, but I did take more photos. Yet I still managed to not get any photos of deployment or maybe even the first turn. So before the deployment I can't show you, he rolled a 1 on his foresight roll. On with the game, and this is the first picture I have. Turn 1, maybe 2, and I have cavalry moving towards his side of the board and those rear objectives and using the pillars to block any elf shooting, leaving 3 on one objective and moving another 3 to the one on the left side to hold out on those objectives till hopefully the game ends. The central objective had the most action with my main force moving towards it, so before Elrond and his mounted knights could get in the mix, I sent the king into his captain to get some of his might off the table, which went well, and I was able to get enough wounds, and even with his fate, the king maintained a wound and drained sold him, just in time for Elrond to come in and take my herald out too. As with all my games so far, it's always been good to establish beef early on. The Rider of the Dead had an ongoing beef with these 2 knights, and this rider with this one chap who just wouldn't die. I did have Éomer coming round the statue, and this was going to be a beef. But when getting priority on the next turn, I forsook the potential beef and instead sent him over to the 3 archers and that objective, because victory points. And hey, I had plenty of beef to go around elsewhere on the board. Elrond then swung round for some leader on leader combat. The dice weren't on my side as much as they were against the captain, especially in the matter of fate rolls, and Elrond's Lord of the West rerolls coming in at the right time for a big 6 and winning on fight value, denying my potential drained soul. So now with both my heroes off the board, let's look at some positives. The rider versus knight beef is 1 knight down. Eventually that lone rider fended off both knights and secured that objective, with the elf bows soon to follow off the board against those other riders. With Elrond free to engage with his remaining warriors and banner on horse, my warriors in the centre were soon taken out, leaving the centre objective to him. I still have a majority of the objectives and time was nearly up. With Paul getting priority, he sent Elrond into my bottom objective into 2 of my warriors and used a Jedi mind trick and said, "You'll send that third guy in obviously," and I was like, "Yeah, obviously." And in my movement I moved him in. 3 versus Elrond is better than 2. After they all died though and he secured that objective, I realised I could have just held out with that 1 model, and as I write the script I definitely should have shielded.
Fool of a took.
Completely forgot about shielding, even though he'd been shielding in a lot of his combats. Luckily for my reputation as a Lord of the Rings Middle-earth strategy battle game YouTuber, I did shield later in game 4, so at some point I did stop forgetting. An important final few turns where I had to kill the bows to break his force just in case there was time for Elrond to charge my victorious beef rider and take him off that left objective. With both our forces broken and one last combat left and 2 minutes remaining, would it end on the game timer or on our terms? And with that, he courted me and the game ended. Luckily I still held the majority of objectives still to balance out his leader kill and the objectives he secured, for a really close game but a narrow victory all the same, and starting this tournament off with a win. It was a really close game and really fun, Paul having some really epic dice reroll moments, and even though it was a negative for me, you couldn't help but celebrate. So game 2, Heirlooms of Ages Past, up against Dan Donovan's Moria army. Yes, Moria again, some Moria goblins, low courage. For both my Maelstrom of Battle deployments, the King's Warband rolled a 5, so I picked the western side and I rolled another 5. So with the potential heirlooms spread around, I put them on the eastern side. Birds using a point of might to get on the board, so it was his choice, and Groblog not coming on in the first turn. Also what happened on the first turn and the first heirloom marker is I rolled a 6, so that's me with the relic. All I got to do now is bring my models back over there and protect it. With Groblog now on the board near me, and my other warband on the other side of the board, it was time for them to haul ass and get through the fort. Especially because here comes the Watcher in the Water. Yep, so far both times I've faced the low courage Moria goblins, they've had a Watcher in the Water. A mix of combat, some wins, some losses, dwindling down his number, him dwindling down mine by getting dragged into combat with the Watcher. A couple turns of that, and Durbers is here with his warband. To get some of his models off the board before the Watcher can kill mine, I charged the King into Groblog, as he's been getting those goblins fight up and winning on fight value too much. My 2 cavalry models was held down up between the house and the watchtower, occupied with beef with 2 black shields. But eventually my second warband arrived in time to see my king surrounded by goblins and the Watcher. And points for a leader kill is his. From then on it was trying to get into Durbers or kill enough to break him to get at least some victory points. So far I've been winning most, if not all, the priorities, until I needed it to catch up with Durbers, and with a Watcher in the Water now in between us, he was pretty safe. The game ended with Durbers alive and unwounded, with 1 kill left till his force was broken, for a 10-0 loss, but still a fun game. A fun moment from this game, I can't remember which turn it was, but when Dan rolled 2 dice and 1 rolled all the way over, through the entrance of the fort and in through the open door into the building, and with a careful slide out, with no funny business, the 6 he needed was revealed. So with game 2 over, I took some shots of the other armies at the tournament, and it was time for some lunch, and time to end this video. So thank you for watching part 1 of games 1 and 2 of a 4-game 1-day tournament up in Bristol at B.I.G. Thank you for watching, like if you haven't already, comment down below, and of course, and as always, subscribe, and if you like what I'm doing here, if you like the channel, share it with any fellow hobbits or those who dwell in Middle Earth. See you on the next one.
It's quite cool.